Well, a very good day to you. Welcome to this week's episode of The Big Question. I'm your host, Simon Irungu, always joined in here by the man himself, Dr. Love. Prof, how are you doing?
Wonderful.
People are out here calling you Dr. Love with the new channel.
Talking about love. Spread the love.
And it's
Let there be love between people in a country and between families. Yes.
And between a boss and an employee.
Yes.
Okay.
That's why there's so much love here.
People are reaching out. People are saying that the channel is interesting.
Yes,
people are actually coming up with testimony.
I have done this YouTube business for like 6 years. I've never been stopped in the streets the way I'm being stopped now. The reception is amazing.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Now, talking about love, Prof, there isn't so much love in the counties in this country because people are getting robbed. People are being harassed by criminals. Now, according to a police report, Nairobi and Kiambu emerged among unsafe counties with high crime rates in the country. Prof, now the big question for today is, why is there a high increase when it comes to crime in this country, especially at this particular time?
Crime is proportionate to the suffering of people. When you have high numbers of unemployed young people, what do you expect? You expect crime.
Okay.
If the unemployed numbers go up, crime goes up. And again, things like urbanization. Because urbanization squeezes people in a smaller space with smaller resources. So urbanization, unemployment, those are critical factors. You might add education. Because when people are educated, they are more bold. You know? And you educate the people without giving them jobs. Helplessness and hopelessness breeds all those kind of things like crime.
Now, whom do we blame when it comes to crime? Do we critique the government? Do we critique the police officers? Do we critique the people themselves?
We must begin by appreciating the fact that crime is not a Kenyan problem. It's an international problem.
Okay.
So you are going to look at countries that have low incidence of crime, where crime rate is very low, like Scandinavian countries. Then you ask yourself, why? You see, one, those are countries with values. Secondly, those are countries with high incomes, with very low unemployment, if any. Those are countries with welfare. Countries with welfare, where the rich are taxed well and nobody can go to bed hungry. So then you come to this country, these other countries now where crime is high, and you see we are too capitalistic, every man for himself. Government doesn't care for the rich, for the poor, and so on and so forth. So you can see the reason why we have crime. Okay.
Even before we further deep into the conversation, Prof, have you experienced crime? There was a time you were having a conversation, you and I, and then you mentioned something to do with is it the Northern Bypass, something tragic happened to, I think you or your family?
My family, yes.
What happened?
No, they were just, you can't call it hijacking. This Southern Bypass, before it was fully operational, there are fewer vehicles passing there, and they will find a way of stopping you. Somehow they were stopped.
Okay.
And then your valuables are taken. Lucky enough, there were ladies, lucky enough, nothing bad happened to them apart from the valuables, money, telephone, phone, calls, what do you call it? Cell phones and things of that nature.
So tragic, Prof, so tragic.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this. The police, there have been cases that the police are actually collaborating with these criminals, Prof.
Yes.
Now, why are government workers, these are the police, people who are supposed to take care of the cities and people who are supposed to ensure that you are safe, why are they collaborating with these criminals?
You know, again, it may be true that the police collaborate with the criminal, but that does not make it look like that's very normal and the number.
Talk about arms. They say that they are armed by police officers.
It's not always so. They're just isolated. If the police were to cooperate with the criminals, you and I would not be sitting here. You wouldn't be working in Nairobi. I mean, let us not blow things out of proportion. It is true a few policemen are criminal, kind of, and they may give their guns to criminals. But that's not anything near normal. Those are just isolated incidents. Remember, this country, we are among the countries with the problem of small arms. You know, the Somalia, Guns come from there. There is our brothers with Ethiopia, with Sudan, Karamajong, our borders with Uganda. So we have, and then we have warlike communities, cattle rustling. So guns in Kenya are many. They don't have come from policemen. Yeah, guns are, it's very easy to get a gun in Kenya.
Okay.
If you live here now and say you want a gun in the next 2 hours you'll be having a gun. And it will not even be expensive. So let's not spoil the police name by unnecessarily so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Prof, there is an outcry from a majority of Kenyans, people saying that the police take time, when there is crime taking place in certain area, perhaps robbery, carjacking, that the police take time to deal with that issue. Prof, what will you say about that?
Yeah, it is true that happens. Sometimes they don't even come. It could be because of laxity with the police. It could be because of training. Mm-hmm. It could be because of lack of professionalism. Mm-hmm. But mainly it is because of equipment. Because of the necessary infrastructure that is not given to them. Yeah. If you want the police to come and they don't have a vehicle, how do they come? Mm-hmm. Or there's a vehicle without diesel, well, how do they come?
How about the conversation of the police being underappreciated?
That's part of it.
That be
That's
also an issue.
You have just said on this show, police are selling guns to criminals. You think they'll be happy to hear that?
Okay.
People say police are sleeping, police in Kenya and Buddha. Then I ask them, fine, and there's no point of debate. If you think the police in Kenya are so useless, let's not debate. Let's give them 1 week off, all of them. Police and then off 1 week to honor. Let's not argue about whether the police are working or not. Mm-hmm. Let's just say 7 days the police, all of them, to a uniform kaa nyumbani. Kama siku tatu itafika, hata mbili wezi, mutalia. You return them and ask government to pay them 4 times their salary. These guys are working, but under very difficult circumstances. So you say the police have been called. People have fought. Somebody has been killed. The body is messed. The body is thrown in the Land Rover, or whatever it's called, Land Cruiser. The police go inside with such a messed body. Look at how traumatic it is. In other countries, there's a homicide department. When the police go, they go with people trained in that area with their own vehicle to pick the body, because that's their training. Now here, mtoto ya mtu ametoka Kiganjo, hata hajaona maiti tangu azaliwe, anaweka kwa Land Rover ama kwa hiyo Land Cruiser, na maiti ambayo imeharibika ina, we need to move in the direction of knowing police are human beings and they have feelings like you and I, and they can be traumatized because they are human beings. So when the police are called and they can't go, maybe they don't have the facilitation. The facilitation may not be there, and you can't blame them. Yeah.
Okay, now, Prof, crime is crime, whether committed by the rich, by the poor. Yes. Crime is crime. Yes. On high scale or low scale, it's still crime. Yes. But yet we do have a majority of the people in government positions, Prof, criminals. Some of them charged with murder, some of them with cases, Prof. Now, then how do we lock these criminals from government positions, Prof?
Naitwa dawa. Dawa.
Now,
how we lock them from
entering into government positions?
You are given chapter 6. You decided you don't need it. You throw it away.
Who threw it away?
You are given a good constitution. Article 10 of values, respect to yourself, to your office and the people of Kenya. You said you don't want it. So who will blame? This you have decided. Right. Kenyans have decided they don't want integrity matters to stand in the way of somebody being a minister. You can be a thief, you can be a murderer, you can be a rapist, but we shall make you minister. Our parliament will vet you and approve you and you become minister. So you have said that as Kenyans. But Kenya is a sovereign state. And the sovereign state called Kenya has decided integrity is rubbish. The crooks are ours, the rapists are ours, the murderers are ours. We have decided, and Who now? Who can stand in our way if that's how we want it?
The reason I'm asking you this question, Prof,
Yes.
perhaps the young people, the jobless people, are looking at these people in power, Prof, saying that
Yes.
these people committed crimes and they were not charged, no action was taken against their crimes. Now, perhaps maybe the government is not active on criminals, Prof. Now, that's not a solution that we rubbished all this. How do we need to tackle these issues?
This is not a small matter. Because I always tell people, you may blame people, say, oh, the voter is the one to vote. Even me, I say sometimes, nyinyi ndio mnapigia wao kura wote kura. But it has never been like that throughout history. It is always about leadership. Political leadership, religious leadership. You know, it is always a few people placed up there by certain forces, either political forces, religious forces, historical forces, whatever. So once you are a leader, it is you to lead the people. So parliament and the presidency should be the one to help this country fight the problem of integrity. Because without integrity, there is no leadership. Without leadership, there can be no country. So this country will collapse. Once the country has collapsed, we will ask ourselves, was it too difficult to play within, to get rid of these crooks? Was it necessary that we appoint a rapist a minister? Was it necessary that we get a murderer and make him a minister? Was it necessary? Was it necessary? Was it? The answer will be no, we were actually so stupid. And now look at where we are. The country has collapsed. Because the country will collapse, whether we like it or not. Without leadership, you can't go far. Whether it's a company, an organization, a nation, whatever it is. And there can be no leadership where integrity is not an issue. So we have thrown away chapter 6. Article 10 of the Constitution. We have agreed that as people, all the thieves are our thieves, and they will be our leaders. Murderers are our people, and they will be our leaders. Rapists are our people, and they will be our leaders. So we'll have to live with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, as we wrap up the conversation, Prof, what is the best solution? What is the best way forward to deal with crime?
The best way to deal with crime, I've given you examples of countries with high incomes. So the country must develop and create opportunities for all, so that we have good education, good health care, very few unemployed people. Those who are employed are earning decent salaries. You see? And for those who, because of maybe age, disability, and so on and so forth, are not able, poverty extreme, we are able to take care of them. Crime then goes down. But if we think we can run a country with the kind of inequalities we have, where government salary, documented minimum wage of the country is like 12,000, and in the same country people are earning 2.5 million. Look at the difference. They agreed, there's a word I've forgotten because I'm not an economist. There's a word I've forgotten, where the difference between the least paid and the most paid should not be beyond 20 times. So if you give somebody 10,000 as the least salary in this country, the highest paid person in this country should be earning around 200. Given the minimum wages in this country, the most highly paid individual in this country should earn 300,000. Alternatively, you ought to push the minimum wage in this country to about 60,000 or 50,000. Now, correspondingly, the people up there can keep their salaries. So with these inequalities, with these levels of unemployment, with these slums in the country, you want to tell me you'll fight crime? You can't. It will keep going up. Let me tell you finally. If you drive across Kiambu County, You will see very magnificent houses, wonderful designs, wonderful fences and hedges, and wonderful. But nobody stays there. These guys stay in Nairobi.
Okay.
Yeah, you know that, eh? Because you can't sleep there. Guys will come for you. And it's spreading fast across the country. Even I, a man with nothing, I'm so scared of sleeping home. I must keep German shepherds. And they have nothing they can come for. You can imagine those with property. So the only way to fight crime, not the only way, the main way of fighting crime is to reduce disparities between people, is to cater for the less fortunate through a welfare system. The Raila 6,000 shillings of that kind of thing, yeah? And the free medical care, free quality education, good salaries, and so on and so forth. But that can only happen if the country is moving forward in development economically. That can only happen if a country has leadership. And a country can only have leadership that can see it move forward if we have integrity as an integral part of our national life, where nobody suspected of things like we are seeing around can be offered to the people of Kenya as a minister.
Okay.
You get it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I guess that's a good point to wrap up the conversation. Well, you've heard it from Professor Dr. Love, the man himself, founder of Nairobi Review. Crime is not an option. If you're a young person, you're watching us, find a better solution to keep yourself busy, to earn yourself some revenue. But crime is not an option. Well, till you have the next episode of The Big Question, enjoy the rest of your day.